Have you ever been so frustrated with a broken system that you just thought, you know what, I could build a better one myself? Well, today we're diving into the story of an organization, SNS, that did exactly that. We're going to see how they took that all too familiar feeling of frustration and turned it into a powerhouse for innovation. And it all starts right here, not with some grand 10-year plan, but with a feeling, a gut instinct that I think we can all relate to. Just that simple, nagging thought, something's not right here. That little spark is what ended up igniting a massive change. So let's break this journey down. Stage one, it all begins with that spark, that initial problem, that feeling in your bones that things could be and honestly should be a whole lot better. And this slide, this is the critical moment. It's where that frustration stops being just a complaint and starts becoming a mission. Instead of just getting cynical about the problem, the team at SNS decided to harness that energy. They set out to bring common sense back into their systems, fueled by pure, focused innovation. Okay, so you know there's a problem. That's the easy part, right? The real question is, how do you actually fix it? And that brings us to phase two, the hunt for the right tools, the right framework to actually start rebuilding. Now, their path wasn't a straight line. As you can see, it started with plain old confusion. They didn't have the answers, but their search led them to some of the heavy hitters in modern innovation, Stanford's D-School and the legendary design firm IDEO. And that's where they found it, the framework they were looking for, a powerful methodology called design thinking. So what is design thinking, really? It's way more than just a buzzword. Think of it as a playbook, a human-centered, repeatable process for cracking really tough, complex challenges. For SNS, this became the blueprint they would use to systematically engineer common sense back into everything they did. And at the heart of design thinking is this 5-stage cycle. It kicks off with empathy. You gotta truly understand the people you're solving for. Then you define the actual problem you're tackling. From there, you ideate, brainstorm every possible solution, no bad ideas. Then you build a simple prototype, and finally, you test it with real people to see what works. It's this powerful, repeatable loop for making things that people actually want and need.
But here's the thing. Having the best framework in the world doesn't mean a thing if the culture isn't there to support it. A great tool is useless without the right environment. So the next huge step for SNS was to build an entire ecosystem where innovation could actually take root and grow. They built their culture around what they call the 3 Ps. First, you need a crystal clear purpose. That's your why. Second, you need a solid process. For them, that was their design thinking framework. And third, you absolutely need the right people, the creative, empowered minds who make it all happen. You gotta have all 3 working together for the magic to happen. And when you zoom in on that people part, SNS found it came down to 3 core things. First is attitude. You need curious people with a growth mindset who take ownership. Second, skills. Things like logical thinking and just plain old business savvy. And third, of course, is deep technical knowledge. They found that real game-changing innovation happens right in the sweet spot where all 3 of those overlap. Okay, so you've got the framework, and the culture is firing on all cylinders. But how do you make sure this isn't just a one-hit wonder? You need systems, concrete systems that make innovation an everyday habit, not just a special project. So how do you make this whole thing stick? How do you keep the engine running day in and day out? Well, SNS figured out it wasn't just one magic bullet. It was a powerful combination, a foundation built on 5 key pillars. And here they are. And what's really cool is how they connect. It all starts with the individual, by fostering learning and creativity that directly powers personal career development. But then it expands outward, creating a sense of social responsibility and building stronger industry partnerships. It's a full circle, a self-reinforcing cycle that drives growth from the inside out. And to keep this whole system humming along, they use some proven tools of the trade. They use OKRs, that's objectives and key results, for those big, ambitious moonshot goals. Then they use SMART goals to break those down into clear, actionable steps. And they even use gamification to keep everyone engaged and motivated. It's a really practical toolkit for turning big ideas into actual results. And now, we get to the final piece of the puzzle, the force multiplier. How do you take this incredible, well-oiled machine and just give it a massive power boost? You supercharge it with artificial intelligence. Now, before we get into the cool applications, it is so important to understand their philosophy on AI. They don't see it through that common lens of fear, as a replacement for people.
Not at all. They see it purely as an accelerator, a tool to amplify what their people are already doing, to make them faster, smarter, and more creative. So, what does that look like in the real world? Well, they use AI to create personalized career roadmaps for every single person. It generates custom practice tests and study notes. It can even simulate real-world business challenges. Essentially, AI lets them take that entire design thinking process and scale it up exponentially. And this really is the key takeaway. The culture, the people, the process, that's the innovation engine. AI doesn't replace the engine. AI is the jet fuel you pour into it to go from cruising altitude to breaking the sound barrier.
So when you put it all together, what does this journey really teach us? It shows that frustration doesn't have to be a dead end. In fact, it might just be the most powerful fuel for change you have, but only if you build the right system, the right engine to channel it. So that leaves us with one final question to think about. Your frustration is the fuel. Your system is the engine. How will you supercharge it?